I can't wait to die. You say it to your manager at work. Is it a joke? Is it satire? Is it humor? If you say it to your girlfriend right before you propose, is that dark humor? Is it sardonic? Is it a pun? Is it humor? Is any of this even funny? We're going to talk about all the ins and outs, all the ups and downs, irony, satire, comedy, and brevity. Join us.
So I'm Dan.
And I'm Nick, folks.
We're old friends dissecting one topic
Right,
at a
brevity.
time.
Huh.
People, technology, media,
Better look
we've
it
got
up
it
right
all
now.
covered.
Each discussion here is a deep dive into our unique perspective. Taboo, forbidden subjects, they're all on the chopping block, baby. We don't pander to popular opinion. We might even get a little bit dirty.
Warning, this podcast may contain mature language and sexual content and is for infotainment purposes only.
So join us. Have a good time.
Open up your ear holes, because we're going to fondle your follicles. Oh, this is a good riff.
It's a good song. Who wrote it? Nice ringing note.
Welcome. Oh my goodness. Welcome back to the most amazing
Pander.
show on the internet.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Dan. And we
Thanks
are
for joining us.
the UnPanders.
The UnPanders.
Quizzically.
Quizzically?
Mm-hmm.
Quizzically. Quizzically. Quizzically?
How do you say
It's all about the way you say it.
equivocatingly? Equivocally?
Equivocatingly. I think I said it right.
I think so.
Damn, I'm good.
So we're going to talk
Sharp
about irony, satire, sarcasm, dark humor,
I didn't write that one down.
and sardonic wit.
Ooh, maybe we're going to touch on ridicule, paradox, farce, mockery, ludachristmas.
Oh,
Ooh,
this is like
humor,
Catch-22.
puns.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my goodness. We're going to talk about everything that's funny, but no one knows the right words to say when they're talking about it. Your boss said you're fired. Maybe they were being sarcastic. Maybe they were being ironic. Which was it? Well, you're still fired. But good news, he was being ironic.
How was
Let's
my
start with
delivery?
irony. Do you want to do irony?
Sure.
I have a definition for all these words,
Which is
so
terrible.
I do actually.
Yeah. The definition for irony is always awful.
Well, I figured it out after I looked at them. So the big three is irony, satire, and sarcasm, I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because a lot of times, I think I've had English courses on this. This is for a reason, folks.
Wow.
Not because I'm sexy.
Whoa.
It's not because I'm sexy. I am unbuttoning my shirt, but it's not because I'm sexy. I actually have a prop here.
It's because he's
So
hot.
irony. Irony is funny because it's the expression or meaning of using language that signifies the opposite, usually for humor. A super ironic thing that happened. Segway guy, how did he die?
He fell off a cliff driving a Segway.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So, I think this was irony.
Isn't that ironic?
Isn't it ironic? Don't you think?
Don't you think? And he's putting on a shirt that says, I have a giant?
Giant?
Rooster.
Oh, look
hand.
at that, folks.
It should say in my hand on the back.
I've collected shirts over the years, just of varying degrees of comedy. Sometimes, 90% of the time, they're actually bought for me. So I can't say that I buy ironic shirts. This is ironic, because
I feel
actually
like that's
don't
not a
own
very
a
big rooster, though. Like, it's kind of slender.
it kind of is. It's kind of crooked. It's kind of slender. It's kind of drippy.
I
So
should
this
have
would
worn
be...
my cock shirt, because it would have been massive.
Well, I'm just saying, that's only because you take up more room in a shirt.
Yeah.
So irony is often like strange or funny, and it's often the opposite. It's like where a guy who has committed a crime of like stealing from bakeries his community services to do 40 community hours at a bakery. Ooh, that's crazy. That's ironic. You know what I mean? It literally is. That's the definition of irony.
Yeah, it's that exactly how he wronged people. He has to serve to right them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, I had an old running joke with a friend of mine who's been on the podcast before, Dan. We said, how funny would it be if there was a guy named Hit by a Car Man? That was his name, right? How ironic would it be if Hit by a Car Man was suddenly killed by a boat one day? That's irony right there. We always argued whether that's, humor or irony, but it's irony because his name is Hit by a Car, and one day he's hit by a boat and killed. I can't remember. Maybe it was hit by a boatman and he's hit by a car and killed. Either way, that's ironic. Yeah. It's crazy.
Which situation is more unlikely? A boat? So I guess it'd be hit by a car man is a better joke than hit by a boatman.
Yeah, that's why I think I switched it in time. I fixed his problem. His error. So we're going to come back to it. I sure have. We're going to come back to it, I'm sure. But let's move on to the next big one. Satire.
It's hard to deliver satire.
Satire is weird because it's, by definition, the use of humor, irony, which we've already talked about, exaggeration or ridicule to expose and criticize people's stupidity or vice. Oftentimes, it's political, folks. So if you're satire, it's a long-running gag. It's like a skit. It's like watching freaking SNL. Yeah. Saturday Night Live. We're going to do a whole skit that's about how dumb the president is, or how dumb a product. You're joking.
It's okay because it's a joke.
So honestly, satire. Do I have an example of satire?
But I feel like dictatorships, like the Chinese, like they can't do satire. Or people that are like staunchly
I feel like they
religious.
can, but they will be.
Yeah.
It's hard, I imagine. It's funny you say staunchly religious. Let's see what I have today.
Oh yes, nicely done.
You see this one?
Perfect timing too.
It is. So, I'm wearing a shirt. You can describe it for the people at home.
Yeah. All the
superheroes. They're all standing around. And up in the middle of all the Marvel superheroes
Jesus,
our friend
saying,
Jesus.
And that's how I save the world.
Check that out.
And I'll sit around the campfire.
Because all these superheroes like beat up bad guys and do all this, and here he is, the J-Man. He's like, that's how I save the world.
He should have been holding a twig, like roasting over the fire with 3 like marshmallows.
maybe too much humor there.
Symbolism.
That's considered over the top humor. But I think satire doesn't even have to be funny. I think Kafka's The Metamorphosis is a satire, sort of.
I don't know what the hell that is.
It's a man who's like talking about being a bug and metamorphosizing. It's like an old English major book that a lot of Englishy majors had to read.
Do I have to
read it right now? No, I think it's by Kafka.
Several pages, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not actually that long. Story. I think it's fairly short.
We'll come back after I'm done reading.
You're gonna read the Metamorphosis real quick and let us know.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, satire is the way you can tell if something, hey, is this a satire or is this a sarcasm or an irony? I don't friggin' know. Easiest way to remember a satire is usually an imitation of a thing. So you imitate it and then kind of expound on it and make it goofier, crazier than it really is.
Yeah. So 1984, George Orwell plays on we can't show nipples.
We just showed nipples.
You can show a single nipple, but twice.
I did show one. What's next? So we're going to come back to all these
farm animals. Yeah.
Is that a satire?
I think it is because
it is because it's a long running. It's a thematic exposure of it's a gag. Yeah. That's a good way to put it. It's a gag. It's a skit. It's a bit. Yeah. So next on the list, sarcasm, folks.
Me, sarcastic.
Let the record show.
Never.
How did you know that before I even put the shirt on? Do you just know all my shirts at this point?
I've never seen this shirt before in my life.
You just knew it was coming.
It's just so cliche.
It is. I know it's stupid. I've only worn the shirt like 3 times.
That's the problem also, is if you're too sarcastic and it's too cliche, then it's not sarcastic because everyone knows.
And I wouldn't wear this shirt ever. Someone bought it for me, I think my girlfriend, like 2 years ago, and she was like, oh my God, you'll love it. And I was like, oh, why would I am sarcastic. I wouldn't wear something that says me, ? Sarcastic, ? Never. So sarcasm is the sharp, often satirical, good Lord, we're going in circles here, satirical or ironic, holy Jesus Christ, utterance designed to cut or give pain. So if something's sarcastic, it uses one of the other two, but it's usually an utterance. Usually you have to say it sarcasm.
Ah, interesting. Verbal.
See that?
Nifty.
Yeah, usually. You can do, literature, sarcasm, but it's usually also spoken by the character in the book.
Huh.
And it's biting. It's a way of saying like, no, dickhead, the opposite.
It's weird. I've never thought of them as like different phases of the same thing, because one is situational, another one is more like, I guess,
skit.
Literary. Yeah, it's a skit, or it's written down.
Literature.
And then sarcasm is verbal.
Yeah, it's very verbal. Sarcasm is almost usually, if someone's talking sarcastic,
tone.
Exactly, which you can derive from the way someone says something or the way they respond to something or what they're talking about. But usually it's like a sentence or two.
Yeah,
like a quick, oh no, the weather's great here. And then the camera pans to like a blizzard. Like, do you know what I mean? That's sarcasm. Boom. Sarcasm's like my favorite. It's like it's my go-to on a day-to-day. I'm sarcastic.
I think
you wouldn't know it from my shirt, but
it's the best tester for other people. Like if you don't know somebody and you say something sarcastic, like A, they have to understand the meaning of what you said, which means they have to listen. And then B, they have to understand the way you said it to mean the opposite. And then they have to react to it. And then their time response, it like gives you a good feel for like how quick they are as a person and how they feel about your jokes.
Yeah, it's 100% interesting you said it like that, because you do have to process it, then think about it, then reprocess it, and then respond. It's like you have to know that they're, because have you ever had someone who takes your sarcastic remarks seriously?
Yes.
I'm like, yeah. I have this woman at work who takes me very seriously, and everything I say is a joke. And they have to tell me when there's an incoming call, and they're like, I have an individual from California. He's calling about some wire and cable. And I'm like, tell him to get lost. I say that to her. And she goes, well, I can't. And I'm like, I'm kidding. But I have to say I'm kidding every time. And then she goes, he's from California. I didn't find him in our database. You're going to have to ask him what he needs. And I'm like, tell him I'm going to lunch. And she's like, I can't. And I'm like, I'm kidding. Just send him through. I'll send him through. I got it. And she's like, oh, okay. She's very nice, but she doesn't get it. Like, I'm joking.
Yeah.
When you say I'm joking, I'm sarcasming is usually, I think, the go-to.
We went to lunch and we came back, and as a crew of 3 of us, one of the guys had to stop off and pick up something that was really heavy. He picked up 2 packages, and it looked like it weighed like 30 pounds, but I was too far away to help him naturally. It was far too difficult for me. So he was struggling to open the door, and then like when he put it in, he like slammed his head on the door frame because it wasn't his car. He wasn't used to the distances. So like we're like, I should have. I could have helped him, but then we drove to our office, and when we were getting out, like I was like, I'll help him with the small package. So like he was already holding the big one, and I took the bag, and like the bag was surprisingly heavy, but I was like, man, this is heavy. As he's like,
carrying something that he's struggling with.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, it was probably like 50 pounds. Okay.
He's a strong dude, so it probably was pretty heavy. It was 24,000 screws.
Damn.
That's a lot
they
of
add
screws.
Up. Yeah. There's a lot of screws. About getting screwed.
Mm-hmm.
Which might bring us to our next one. Should we talk about... we're going to come back to all these. I just kind of wanted to hit a few with definitions. Just like, separate them.
Which one do you want to hit?
Do you want to talk about puns?
Oh, punny. That's
puns?
Wordplay.
Puns are... Yes, it is. It's literally, by definition, a joke exploiting different possible meanings of a word, or the fact that there are words which sound alike but have different meanings. This is the classic.
Well, homonym? Is that a homonym?
This one is a picture of a small rodent, possibly a gopher, and right above it, it says, "Go for it." I've actually owned this shirt for like 15 years. It's my favorite shirt. I think I've owned it for like 10, 15 years. It's one of my oldest shirts. But this I actually do wear occasionally. So, but it's a pun. It's like, it's wordplay.
Homonym. Yep. The same.
Homophones sound.
Phone?
I think homophones sound alike.
Homophone.
Yeah. Homophone sound, because phone is like. Homonyms are, I believe, spelled the same. but pronounced
You can say,
different.
I think they added this. It says same spelling or pronunciation, but have different meanings.
Oh, that's bullcrap.
The
That's
language is going to make it so that everything means everything, and everyone's going to be like, oh, they took them over there to do the thing. And it's like, oh, did they? I can't believe that.
What you just did there, I can't tell if that's sarcasm or just regular humor or satire. I honestly, I think it's satire. You did satire right there, right?
You're not allowed to. Don't use their name.
It was like a bit, like, oh, we're gonna do this and do this and do this.
And that's the depth of conversation that people can get to in the future, because you're not allowed to offend anybody.
You think there's gonna be new ways to offend people?
I hope so. I can't wait.
There's gonna be a balance, baby. There will definitely be. There will be things that my kid's looking at on YouTube in like a year, and I'd be like, "What did you? Who did you? You can't do that. You're going to jail." I'm gonna be all surprised. He's like, "Dad, relax." I'll be like, "That's a murder. You just watched a murder on YouTube." He's like, "Dad, it's encrypted." Okay, are you sure it's encrypted? He'll be like, "I don't know. Everyone says it is," and I'll be like, "Okay."
Huh. No, that's like the guy who like learned how to print like a plastic gun using a 3D printer. It's like,
did it work?
Is that yeah, it worked. But like, is that illegal? Like, should it be illegal? I don't know. No one's ever done it before. If you're the first guy to do something, can you say, "Oh, you're not allowed to do that"? Like,
well,
how do you know you're not?
To create a new way to kill someone, that would be illegal. I'm pretty sure.
But if you never used it to kill somebody, what if it was like incredibly dangerous and like really harmful, but it had a little bit of hope to be helpful? But
like you made a lightning ray? Mm-hmm. Like you made a lightning ray?
No, like a nuclear bomb. Like first time someone's like, I have no idea what's going to happen here, but it's going to be glorious.
I think that one's pretty self-evident because it blows up such a large area in such a damaging way.
How do you know that? You don't without trying. Let's destroy that island in the Pacific. That atoll doesn't need to be there anymore. But we don't know that yet. We're gonna put it right in the Pacific just in case.
We're gonna give it a shot. Just give it a try. Give it a sample.
I wish there was a government employee that had like the most soothing and like boring voice. Like, this thing is it's just gonna go a little. It's gonna be a little bit dramatic, but it's not gonna affect you in any way. It's going to be okay. We're just going to explode this nuclear bomb now, okay? Everyone ready?
You're talking about what could happen. Let's see what does happen first. He just gets quieter as he speaks, and you're like, I guess.
And then he touches the button, and he's like, holy fucking shit! And then it just like... Where we go for me?
What do you want to talk about next?
I don't know.
I know you got a definition. The only one you wrote down. The only one you had ready for me that I did not have.
Sardonic.
Ooh.
What does sardonic mean? Do you have a shirt for sardonic? I hope you do.
No, but it kind of counts. And this is the one I wore at the gym today, so it stinks like sweat.
Oh, good thing we can't smell that.
Yes, you can. I can tell you guys are feeling
Sardonic is grimly mocking or cynical. And it says, I found this humorous.
It's kind of a pun, but I also figured it's kind of sardonic because, like, you found a bone and it's
more like a femur. I'm just kidding.
I was going to say, you could be right. I didn't know.
I found the femurs. The bone in the human body.
Cool. And it's like kind of dark because it's also, I found it humorous. Like I found this hilarious. I found the human bone.
It'd be funny if someone came up to you and just like, that shirt's really funny. And then like you pulled the bone out of your, like, can you take this? Like, I don't know what to do with it.
No, I found this.
I've been trying to get rid of this for a long time.
It's kind of funny.
I found it. That's why I'm wearing the shirt.
It's kind of funny because that's why it's like the word humorous. So, you know, it's like finding bones is humorous. I think. That's pretty dark, right? Or is that just a dark reading of the shirt?
That's the darkest reading. Maybe the darkest reading.
Up there.
I don't know. Like my entire job is to like save people, essentially.
Essentially. Oh my God.
That's the intention is to keep people out of areas that are dangerous. That's the political Boy Scout.
Sure.
So like one of my bosses was like trying to say that like we need to like keep focused on the goal and like keep this serious. So we should like post faces of the people that have been lost because we didn't save them in time.
People that have been killed, like their faces everywhere.
Yeah. I was just like, Jesus Christ.
No.
I started laughing hysterically. I was like, Why would you do that? Like, I could just imagine, like, having, like, a face flash on my screen for half a second and be like, remember us. And, like, just, like, someone random.
Maria Rosales, mother of 3, was brutally killed when she was unaware that she was under the crushing regime. And it's like, oh, she was under the crushing machine.
Oh.
If she had only worn her GPS.
Tracking device. Monitoring device. We're not going to track you, but we'll monitor you.
Yes. And then for your safety.
For your safety.
I
could just, man, an office just full of faces. How creepy would that be? So much
dead
stuff.
faces.
Dead people.
Dead faces.
Yeah. And it just like this person, like it should say, you are dead, like Resident Evil.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have died.
You are dead.
You have died. Dun, 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 dun. So we can do farce, can't we?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what a farce is, technically?
No, actually I don't.
Actually, a farce is a comic, dramatic work using buffoonery and horseplay with improbable or nonsensical scenarios. Let's see what we got for farce.
Buffoonery.
Shenanigans. This is kind of punny. This is kind of... All these things are starting to run together, especially for a t-shirt. You're not going to find a lot of t-shirts that have farce.
Dad.
And he's...
With the little Kool-Aid son.
It's the Kool-Aid guy. He's breaking through the wall, I guess. I don't know. But he's a dad. So it's instead of Kool-Aid, it's Cool Dad. I don't know if that's farce. It just was running out of shirts, running out of ideas. So.
There's certain things that, like, I can't find anything perverse with that. Like, I want to try.
No, this one's like good humor, yeah. I guess. Unless he's breaking Nothing into dark. Like the wall, like the women's bathroom, or like the shower room with his son on his shoulder, and he's like, "Cool, Dad." Oh yeah, like, you know, I think that would be really hilarious, actually. If they showed the Kool-Aid Dad and he was wholesome and cool and he was bringing his son and they're bursting through a door and everyone's like, that's kind of cool. And then the next scene was the other angle and he was breaking into the women's shower at the local YMCA.
What would a female Kool-Aid look like? How would you draw a female Kool-Aid?
Exactly like this with a couple extra jugs. You know what I'm saying?
She'd be holding 2 jugs. That'd be the...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would be funny.
That would be
hilarious.
Oh.
So, I guess this one comes under ridiculous as well. Ridiculous is something that's deserving or inviting derision or mockery of ridicule.
Again, I think that's like an intelligence, if someone is full of ridiculous ideas, it means they understand usually. They understand the basis of things, and then up it.
Normal, and then they up the ante. They push the level. The envelope gets pushed. They're doing it intentionally, right? For comedic value. I think ridiculous might be my other brand of humor. I think I'm dark, sardonic, and then ridiculousness. Like I push it to the extreme where they're like, why would anyone do that? And I'm like, the guys at work are always overwhelmed by me because they're 21 and 26 and they're like, what are you talking about, dude? And I'm like, just imagine if our boss, instead of saying get more line cards out, was like, what about butthole juice? And they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, what if he was like, get that butthole juice? We were like, okay, boss. It was a running.
Replace his words in like one day. Yeah. Just like one word change swapped.
Just one word change. And I'd be like, I don't even know what butthole juice is.
I think it also like takes you in an area that doesn't exist. Like it never existed before most of the time. So that like the humor that can come out of it is entirely unique.
Oh, entirely. No one's ever made that joke before, probably.
Maybe.
It's a whole new territory.
See people.
How do you know?
Butthole juice?
Well, at work instead of line cards. Like that's where that's the ridiculousness. Like who has to do line cards? Who has the boss that we have? And then is replacing exactly. And then it's an internet thing where you send someone an invite and it's like, this is what we do. This is my company. This is my name. This is my email. Thanks for reaching out.
Kill me now, please.
Exactly. But anyway, what if you replace that with a craving for, like, honestly, butthole juice, which I still don't know what it is, but...
Is that like grundle pudding? Butthole juice?
I guess, dude. I don't know, man. I was cracking up nonstop 2 days ago when I was like, did you say butthole juice? And he was like, no, dude, I said,
The
Rundle
fear.
Roos.
The fear of the
Rundle
youngins.
Roos. He was like, I don't
Don't
know,
put that
dude. I
on
didn't
me.
say anything. But anyway, I just went off with it, and it was ridiculous. It was insane. It was wacky. One of the other words I came across, which was weird, it didn't feel like it belonged, was paradox. A self-contradictory statement.
Yeah.
But do you know where this 100% comes into play with like all the other words?
Yeah.
Catch-22.
This is false. Yeah.
Yeah, this statement is false.
Yeah.
Like the entire book Catch-22, which is my favorite comedy book, is just all paradoxes, really. It's like everyone loved him. The next sentence is always, I hate that son of a bitch by Usarian or someone. And it's like, that doesn't, you can't say one and then the other, but that's part of the beauty of it. It's hilarious because something can be the opposite sometimes. And that, in a way, in its own right, is kind of funny. It's kind of odd. Like, things aren't always what they are, if that makes sense. That's a paradox, but it's kind of a truth.
Yeah, it's breaking your human logic. Like human logic is so sometimes so chiseled and so refined that you want to
very black, very white. There's one way or the other, and it's weird where you're like, go down the path most of the way this way, but
turns out,
up.
Yeah, you thought you were going entirely left, but then you wound up right. That's it's unexpected.
That's nuts.
Yeah,
it's
that
ironic.
Makes no sense. Illogical. Catch-22.
Then there was ludacris.
Ludacris.
No, I have one more shirt, but I don't think it fits in any of these. Ludacris is something that's so foolish, unreasonable, or out of place that it can be amusing. Like, okay. I got mockery, teasing, and contemptuous language or behavior directed at a person. That one just sounds mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Lastly, I had like humor and funny because I was like, we're out of these like
humor and
niche
funny
words.
Can you define those, please?
Well, that's why I looked them up because all these are kind of different variances of humor, or different things that we think are funny.
Who do you think is defining these things? Like, what is a joke? And someone's like,
it's a cop out. Even then, funny is causing laughter or amusement, which that could be anything, couldn't it? Funerals can be funny. Anything that makes you laugh could be funny. Like, you just pick the darkest thing, the worst thing. How about the most banal thing? Like, I love blankets. Someone's just laughing hysterically. That means blankets are funny to someone. So it's very subjective, right? Almost entirely subjective.
Yes. Please
which is weird. No, that's it. That was it. Humor is the quality of being amusing or comic, especially in literature or speech. And I was like, okay.
All right.
You didn't tell me anything. Like, no one can define what we're talking about today. Humor in general.
Is there something that always makes you laugh?
Sometimes the word poop. How we discussed that earlier. That makes me laugh all the time.
There's something about like cringe-worthy things. Like back in the day, it was Goatsy or Meat Spin or one of those things that like two girls, one cup. Like those disgusting, like awful things that you don't want to see.
Over the top.
But it's
like, oh my god, dude, let me show you this.
It's the excitement of pranking somebody. So like pranks are another element that we haven't talked about either.
Oh, I haven't touched on prank. Go ahead.
Yeah, like setting somebody up to fall into this setup. This trick. And then like having it unfold.
Doing to them. Like, what's funny about it? I don't even know. I can't define it. I just know everything in my life is funny. I think everything's funny.
I think it's like bringing the unexpected immediately. And then like their reaction is like true and honest. And it's instinctual. And you're like pulling that out of them. Because you never see their reaction when like you shoot a fake snake at them. Or like they don't expect someone to jump out at them.
Because they can't prepare for it?
Yeah. There's no way to, because
Right, they don't expect it. So it's like pushing someone off a cliff and then being like, ah! It's like pulling the rug out from under them. Is there a power in, I know what it is. It's almost like a power trip where you're pulling them outside their comfort zone so fast. They didn't have time to prepare. They didn't have time to do anything. And now you're like Like, is that what it is?
Yeah, and sometimes the pranks are so elaborate that it's like you give kudos to the person who like created it. Like there are certain pranks that are just like pie in the face. It's like, like that's too obvious. Like doing something like that is like borderline mean because it's just like not. I don't know. Did the Gatorade to like a coach after he wins? Like that's sort of a prank, right?
I think it is. But I mean, how is that different? How is that different than showing someone goatsy when they weren't ready for it?
It cracks me up even thinking about it.
I know it does, and I'm not saying it's wrong or right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's essentially the same thing. It's doing something sort of mean to someone that isn't really mean. It's like more like sort of mean. Like, come on. Gotcha.
Softcore prankage.
Yeah, making something awkward for them, making them deal with a situation they usually avoid in their life, right?
Maybe.
It's me. I'm Italian. Maybe.
I'm a cool dad.
So.
Did we go through all your definitions?
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit! What else is there?
That's it. I'm a dark, sarcastic guy. Oh, last shirt. I'm a dark, sarcastic guy. No, yeah, deep and brooding. Sure. Now, my favorite brand of humor is always like, can't wait to die. I say it to my coworkers all the time. They're like, oh, dude. No, my coworkers are like, oh, dude, you got another sale. And I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to die. It always catches them off guard, and they always like laugh really hard. They're like, dude, stop. My one buddy's grotesque.
There's a level of like.
Yeah, there's humor in that. Let the record show. I put on my last shirt change.
Very bright.
Maybe.
This is the brightest color of yellow. It's probably the brightest shirt you can wear, aside from like that Under Armour yellow.
No, this is yeah. So it says, I'm just one big freaking ray of sunshine.
I love how monotone you said it. It's perfect.
Because I was reading it upside down.
This is like goth.
It's hard to. Yeah. It kind of is goth. Almost,
like
I feel like
a goth happy line that's like all very bright and happy colors, but the person doesn't like know.
I'm super happy to be here, and I don't hate my dad.
Like really colorful, like crosses and stuff.
I agree.
What's the symbolism for like? What's the preeminent goth symbol?
Comic Sans.
Yeah, I guess the cross is the thing.
That's
not bad.
I mean, I feel like that's too religious. I feel like goth is like dark eyeshadow, and I don't know.
It's like they make it like satanic. So like that's another thing is that culture likes to force things that are weird and different into like some sort of like, oh, you love the devil, or like some sort of like evil nuance, and it's like that. The people that I know that are goth are not like they're apathetic. It's not that they're satanic or anything.
Can you imagine if anyone thought we were goth because of our dark humor, and they were like, "Yeah, they're goth," and we're like, like you have to like devote your life to hating something and worshiping the Antichrist and all this stuff, and we're like, that's way too much work. Like, can you imagine trying to live up a lifestyle? It's like, no, that's not what we're doing. What do you got?
I know the definition of goth is actually a member of the Germanic people that invaded the Roman Empire back in the 3rd and 5th centuries, and then they became the Ostrogoths or the Visigoths in different countries. Which I never knew.
How do we call them goth today then?
I don't know.
Gothic
music. Black clothes, unusual jewelry.
There you go.
Makeup.
It sounds like them. Yep, this is them. Who are they? Or were they the people that...
Gothic rock. I don't know. I don't even know what the definition of Gothic rock is.
I feel like it's just rock written by goths.
It's like, do you think someone themselves?
Well, think about it.
It's like Christian rock, I guess.
Yeah. Think about it, because you can have the same rock song, but if it's sung by people who are Christian and identify as Christian, I think it becomes Christian rock, just like goth rock. So we're getting off the path a little, but it ties into what's funny, what's humor, what's being sarcastic, because there's also different levels of irony, different levels of sarcasm, different levels of punniness.
Can you and I go too far is the question. It's like,
of course we can.
I think we know each other, so there's like, even if you went ridiculously far, this is the classic like American Psycho. Like, I just murdered somebody. Like, if I told you that, like, there's no way that
I would laugh.
You would. I think you would go along with it though. They'd be like, "Well, how'd you murder him?" And I'd be like, "Well, the saw. Like, it was easy. It was real simple. Like, they took it. They didn't even like if you. I think you would. Would you believe me if I told you? Like, what if I actually did kill somebody?
If you actually did, were you telling me on the podcast, like right now, or in general? I'm serious. I'm serious.
Well,
Which would
I don't know. If I did, would I want to go out with a bang? Like, eventually it would be replayed, and then like you'd have your reaction. Like, imagine if you laughed at me killing somebody, and then like
and
the whole world saw
real.
you.
And then everyone was like, "Oh, this guy's a fucking. He's just as bad. He laughed at it." And as you were telling me, you were like, "Yeah, dude, I cut off his hands first. He was screaming, and I was slapping my knee. I can barely breathe. I'm laughing so hard." And you're like, "And then I fucking murdered him." And I'm like, "Oh my god!" Like, I just can't stop laughing. And then it gets broadcast. It would definitely hurt my next job interview. No, that was me. No, I recall. You murdered someone? No. I was laughing at the murder. I was up to here with laughter. I don't know.
I love it when a joke changes midstream. That like you're no longer in like a tiny bubble, and the bubble pops, and then like you're all of a sudden the spectator that cares the most about it. Like I could see like a religious family or a nun like watching as you laugh and just like they like start grabbing their rosary really tightly.
The cross. Oh my God!
How dare
Pray
you.
for him.
Poor child. We must save him.
But isn't it weird? When I think of laughter, I think of it as a good thing. Like anytime someone's laughing, I'm like, good on them.
Do you think serial killers laugh a lot?
Oh my God! In movies, sometimes there's a few, like the Joker.
But
classic Joker, not the new one.
That's the darkest.
The newish.
Yeah, the darkest Joker we've ever seen, and I don't know that there's laughter in it.
I have no idea. I haven't seen it, so that's why I felt like he's not a laughy Joker, which is kind of weird. It's like, ooh, but like Jack Nicholson Joker, like all he did was like he's laughing. Speaking of which, we didn't even touch on it. I don't know if it's necessary for this episode, but people's laughs sometimes crack me the F up.
Oh yeah.
So we're in an office setting, and it's like phone based, so we're calling people, and like I don't talk to the person on the other side of this cubicle here or whatever, but I hear all their conversations. I know who they're talking to. I know when they're on the phone being like formal and crap, and it's so funny when it's like, we'll call this person Braddy, and Braddy's on the phone, and it's a girl who's very vulgar, and she goes, "Oh, I know, I have every idea. So anyway, yeah, we're gonna. Oh, that's so funny." And then they hang up and they go, "Ugh, what a fucking drag! I fucking hate that person." And like immediately, I can't stop laughing. And then sometimes now it gets to the point where I hear her on the phone, and I'm like hitting the guy next to me. I'm like, "Yo, da." And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Listen." And she's like, "Oh, you're so right. Oh, yes, I agree." It's like the fakest laugh. And I'm like, I have no idea that's her fake laugh. And then there's like someone at the end of the hall that's like way down. You can never hear her talk. Wouldn't even know she exists except when she does her laugh. She goes, it's like a witch laugh. And it's so hilarious because she's laughing so hard she can't breathe. And she's laughing like a witch. And I'm like, oh, dude, she's laughing again. And like, I love a good laugh. I love fake laughs. I love real laughs. Like, I love that stuff.
Do you think you develop your own laugh? Like, do you think you work on it, or do you think you're born with it? Because my son... I
guess you're born with it. Oh, why? He's changed laughs?
No, he hasn't. He was born with an amazing laugh that cracks me up every time he laughs. And it's
different when your
same.
Kid laughs too.
Yeah.
When your kid laughs, dude, you can't not laugh at a kid laugh, especially your own kid, because he starts laughing the laugh where he can't stop. He almost can't catch his breath, and you're like, you're done. You're in on that laugh. That's the funniest laugh in the world.
I love it.
That's a good laugh. That's a good laugh.
Oh yeah.
Do you already know your kid's sense of humor?
I don't.
Right now, my kid is like with the word poop instead of baby. Like, if my kid's fake maybe making a pizza, I say, "Oh, this is a great pizza. Oh, what's in this? You got oh my God, is there anchovies in here? And he will laugh so hard he can't breathe because something about spitting out food. It was a trick. I don't know. Like, I think it's the funniest thing in the world, and it's kind of cute. It's kind of, I don't know, cracks me up.
There's certain times when he's just like watching something and it's not funny, and he cracks up, and I don't.
He laughs anyway.
Yeah, but he always looks to me to like get like recognition for it, and I have to like, because he looks at me, I have to laugh.
Buddy.
It's like,
you're like, buddy, you got it. That's funny.
I'm wondering if I'm screwing him up. Maybe I should be like, no, that's not. No, stop laughing.
No.
Like,
Yeah, can you imagine if he's laughing and you look over and you're like,
that's not funny.
But like, what if your kid likes like poop jokes all the time, or like, what if your kid's into satire and he freaking loves Plato jokes, and you're like, these are the corniest goddamn jokes, and he's like, do you hear what Plato said when someone said, "Thou shalt poison thy wife," and he said, "Surely." And you're like, it's great. Good one, yeah. Like, could you?
Hubert Cumperdale.
That's some wild shit right there. Anyone who doesn't know salad fingers.
Marjorie Stewart.
Baxter. And there's a third name. Jeremy Fisher.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
When you're watching it, you know that it's not normal. Like, it's intended. Like, everything is not normal about it. But
David Firth.
That's his thing. What he made, like, did he make Rocco?
He made some other stuff. No, he didn't make Rocco. I don't think he was famous. I think he was just famous in the Flash community. He may have made some other stuff, but I don't think so. You can look him up while I talk. But
I will.
David Firth invented salad fingers, and what was crazy is it was like an acid trip that wasn't funny, but was hilarious because it was so out of whack. It was like uncomfortable, weird, to the point where we had a buddy in college who never smoked pot, and he didn't like salad fingers. And one time after he smoked pot, we made him watch salad fingers, and he was freaking out. Like, he did not want to see this. He was freaking out. And we were all there for the experience of him having to watch salad fingers while he was high as hell. And it was wild. And I think by the end, like, he was laughing hysterically because of maybe the discomfort of maybe being made to watch salad fingers while we were all there. I don't know. Anything come up? Yeah, I think he's just famous for making flashes.
Like, the origin of salad fingers is that he was trying to play guitar, and he was trying to play a C chord, or he was, and one of his friends said he had salad-like fingers. Salad?
That's gross, because they do focus on his fingers a lot. They move around a lot. That's weird.
I don't even know what salad fingers would mean. That's the whole thing, is that it's completely... That's just
not ironic. What's the word? Ridiculous? Is that ridiculous? It's a little bit of ridiculous and dark, sardonic?
It's like, if you had fingers that were literally like romaine lettuce, like, you couldn't hurt anybody with that.
No, it wouldn't look anything like him because he's always scraping things with his fingers. Rusty nails and spoons and stuff.
And spoons.
And spoons.
Oh, man. I don't...
Like, that stuff's... You love that? You love that brand of humor?
I think it's because it's something that I've never seen before. Like, you will never experience... Like, I couldn't generate that myself.
You would never make that yourself. Yeah. No one I know would ever make that themselves. Here's a weird question for you. Do you... Not your sense of creation, which we were just talking about. I would never make this. What about your sense of enjoyment? Is that something you're born with? Does that change over years? Is that something that's as unique to you as a fingerprint? There will never be 100% things we agree on that are funny or humorous or whatever. We could have a 99% match, but there's always going to be something else that I think is funny you don't. Where does that come from? What I think is funny. I really have no idea.
I think it's youth and nature versus nurture and all that stuff.
I guess.
Do you want to go into that?
But I mean, what does that have to do with funny? I have no clue what your genetics would have to do with funny. You're genetically predisposed to think salad fingers is hilarious. You know what I mean?
It's like, if you could determine like what your opinions will be when you're older, like, we've checked his genes and he's going to be Democratic, and it's like, fuck, I'm bored.
But your opinions don't always dictate you're funny, because like you can have a super um, gung ho right wing mentality, but still think some things that are wacky as fuck are hilarious. Like your sense of humor is not based on
I think the people that are
anything.
funnier are like the people that like understand there's two polar aspects and they can
Mhm.
play in the middle and then hit a pole at any one moment.
Right? They can flip it. Expectations are here. They can do
Hmm.
this. They can do one or the other. They can play to the extremes. This is ironic because it's irony. That's kind of what irony is, right? It's like you expect one thing is a
Hmm.
set standard, and then this is what happens, or this is what happens, and extremely in a different direction
Hit by a car, man.
is killed by a boat. How terrible. His name, we should have known the whole time. His name had nothing to do with it. For years, he told us he wasn't going to get hit by a car, and we said, sure, hit by a car, man. He was right. He was killed by a boat today.
Hmm.
We pour one out for him. So, I don't know. I love jokes. I love humor. I love comedy. I love laughing at different things. There's so many different levels to comedy. It's like, it's not just a joke is a joke. A joke can be a joke because it's about a joke, or there's
Quality of
jokes about
jokes,
jokes.
layers of a joke. Like I feel like that's when like there's like I forget what shirt you're wearing, but like the first layer is like the
Humorous?
humorous one. Like the first
Yeah.
layer is like, huh.
I found this humorous. I found this humorous. Oh, it's a humorous. Next level, I found this human bone, which would be disturbing to anyone. Oh
And
my
I'm
God, you know.
announcing it to you.
And I'm letting you know. Also, I think this whole situation is very funny, but I have a human bone in my pocket. It's like, okay. And then the next level of funny is like, I'm in an office setting. I have the shirt and I have a bone. Would you like to have the bone? And then the next level of funny is like, whoa, what is the coworker going to do? Here's the bone. Like, you can really keep going. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Can you
I don't know.
take this for me for a
Can you
moment?
take this? I'm going to share my humor this with you.
Huh. What about memes? Did we talk about memes very much?
We didn't, but
It's
that's kind of like
it's hard to describe. Like it's a setup. It's the same. Is every joke kind of the same? Is that you prey on like the common understanding? Like you can never start out with. You can start out with a weird premise, but
Mhm.
you have to make it weirder. I don't think you can make it less weird. Like you have to make it understandable, but spin it.
What you just said with the levels. You have to bring it
Yeah,
to a next level.
yeah.
So a meme is usually a visual joke. It starts off as like a common thing you see. Mrs. Piggy drinking tea. Well, Kermit drinking tea. It's a guy talking to his girlfriend, and then there's a butterfly here, and it's a picture you've seen 100 times,
Yeah.
but now the meme is adding a layer on top of it. Like there are memes for what's the name? Chernobyl, the series Chernobyl.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that are just memes based on memes that are popular. You've never seen Chernobyl
I've
memes?
seen it, but I
Really?
don't know what
Okay.
memes.
They use like the butterfly meme. There's one that's like the dad yelling at his son on whatever show. But they're usually famous visual pictures that we've all seen that are like, oh, I relate to this picture. Oh, I've seen this picture. Ah, I know this picture and the outcome. And what it is you add a layer to it. So now instead of the picture representing JFK and the bullet, now it's like my savings and like Thirsty
My
Thursday.
future.
And it's like, yeah, well, my savings account and Thirsty Thursday. And it's like, oh, that's pretty messed up. So you're saying Thirsty Thursday ruined your savings skull and killed the president of the United States. It's like you were going to save up all your money, but Thirsty Thursday showed up and you had to spend all your money. So it's like adding a layer, so you have to think in layers. And it's funny because you understand the origin story. You have to understand what the new person is saying, combine them. I don't know. Are you looking at Chernobyl memes?
Are these so Are jokes
Yeah.
getting darker because we can now absorb them quietly in our own, like on our cell
Oh,
phones, in our
well,
private
as opposed
area?
to having to do it in public. I would say yes, but I would also say that jokes were more racist and openly racist back in the day. Well, what do
Insultingly
you get
racist.
when you put
Yeah.
yes? That was like jokes back in the day. And then on top of that, it was like, hey, what do you tell a Polak that says scratch and sniff on the bottom of a pool and they drown? And it's like, okay, because Polish people are dumb.
How many
And then
Polish
it
people
became,
does it take to change a light bulb?
yeah, and then that joke morphed into the blonde jokes, I believe. Right? Remember
Yeah.
that? Blonde.
Uh-huh.
How many blondes does it take to do this, etc.? I think there was a phase where black people jokes were told, and it's like,
Jewish
oof,
jokes.
I racist don't. And then Jewish jokes, like there's a whole bunch of jokes. How many Greeks does it take to do this? And it's like, okay, okay. So I don't think jokes have gotten darker. I think we've been able to record things in different ways. What are you looking at? Chernobyl memes still?
There's, I think there's that guy who like didn't believe the reactor was going down.
Yeah, yeah, rodents, rodents.
Rodents, yeah.
That's impossible. Yeah.
And I think this is from like a 1990s video game where it's like the core is exploding and like all these green things are like shooting out of it.
Sure.
It's just good. Like you
That's
don't
good
have
stuff.
to.
But
Yeah.
again, that's so multi-layered because you have to think of the game.
Mm-hmm.
You have to think of the show in question, and then you have to combine them all into a super joke that's visually formatted and share it with people. I do enjoy a good meme. They're usually dark. I don't know if they are under ridiculous, if they're under. They could be a form of satire because it's kind of like a bit. What? Secretly?
I think that this like the girls from like that Netflix show that was like something about like suicide, 13 Reasons Why or something.
Yeah.
It's just her
They
saying,
use that.
yeah. So you see, that's where the trouble began, and then it shows the guy who is like the scientist. He
The
said,
lead scientist with the mustache. Yeah,
she
yeah.
says that smile, that damn smile.
That's pretty funny because it's combining two totally different
Yeah, so
mediums
dark.
and combining them somehow. That's
enough.
the comedy.
Stop looking over here.
Yeah, it's fine.
Because that's another layer of memes is that you can share them with people, but they're really ephemeral. Like, it's funny, but it's not like you're gonna be laughing and cracking up on the floor like I can't breathe. Funny with a meme.
Occasionally, but that's like I think it's like with jokes because most jokes I hear make me smile, make me feel good. I'm like, yeah, our goddamn manager. I say to the guys next to me, I'm like this while he's there and he can hear me. I'll be like, yeah, like our manager's good. And I know he can hear. And I just smile to myself because I know he heard and I know he's like, fuck this guy. But like, I don't always laugh so hard. I'm hitting my leg and like my side is splitting and like, I'm like, ah.
I do.
So you get that with memes. I mean, I don't know. Some of them are funny. It's like smile funny. It's like, ah, nice, nice.
I do feel like my old job had people close to my age that had the same level of intellect and like the same type of humor. And there were moments that made it worthwhile to stay there that like they would tell jokes that I would literally be crying and then like someone else would come in like randomly and just like
And
one up
over
it.
the top.
Yeah.
Over the top it. Yeah, I love it. Over
Completely
the top
random, unexpected,
Oh,
and that
God.
person just like understands everything that's happened and just like boom, they just layer it on there.
Another layer, dude. That's the beauty of it.
I miss that aspect. Like, is that aspect worth the amount of money that I took to take this new job? Probably not. But
I don't know, dude. I don't know.
it's some of the shit. It's just fantastic. I think that's what we're all doing this thing, or just like say like rat racing or like going to jobs that we might not enjoy. So like humor is the way out, and like especially dark humor, like you can't really use it at work, like the really dark stuff, because you might get in trouble. So like there's a weird PC level of like I'm gonna push this envelope to see like it's funny. I'm allowed to joke about it. As long as it's not offensive, I'm covered. And then like you also get to tell people like you get to tell how PC people are, how afraid of like I don't know authority.
Right, pushing that envelope. No, the envelope, the imaginary envelope.
I need a physical envelope. I'm confused by the whole thing.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to HR. Oh, what about? I'd like a physical envelope.
I'd like to.
Oh, what for? I'm gonna push it and kill myself. See, that's my level of humor when you talk about
You
that.
went from 0 to like 1,000.
I know, 1,000. To me, that's the funniest humor. When you go from like kind of calm, kind of normal to like 1,000,000 miles an hour. It's like, did anyone tell Rich I had his account? And then we're like, your manager, Rich, you had his account? Yeah, I fucked it over and set it on fire. And then we're like, oh my God. Someone's like, I love
Pure
the
reaction.
flip of like, I love the flip of like 3 sentences in a row or like something normal, something fairly normal, something fairly normal. And then the 4th sentence is just like, yeah, I told them to fuck themselves and to get wire and cable elsewhere. Is that a problem? So I was like, you didn't say that, did you? And I'm like, I'm real sorry. No, of course I didn't say that, idiot. But I love that. I love that flip. It happens like you lead them on normal, and then fuck yeah. You go wild. You just I don't know. Humor is my way out, I guess. So like
it's escapism.
It is. It is escapism. I mean, and I even joke to the guys. I'm like, yo guys, see that? Got another big account. And they're like, oh dude, good job. And I'm like, can't wait till I'm dead. They're always like, what are you talking about, dude? You got the biggest account. I'm like, yeah, I don't care. And it's like a little bit of joke, a little bit of tongue in cheek, a little bit of I don't know. I really don't care a little bit.
I do miss. I had like a job when I first started, like an internship, where it was people handling customers, so they'd constantly take calls, like support. And there are people that like you immediately know who they're talking to because that customer always calls. And the way they talk to them, they're slowly growing in frustration and like trying to hang up the phone, but they keep asking questions and they're just like, and then like when they finally get off the phone, they're just like, damn it, and they slam it.
Damn it! I'm so mad. I love that.
Oh,
it's like a shared experience.
Yeah,
kind of. Even though you didn't take the call, you felt their frustrations and everything. It's kind of cool. Humor is usually a shared experience.
Cathartic. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, you can laugh alone, but it's so much more contagious when you laugh with other people.
Yeah.
Right?
I guess
the pile-on thing you
there's
talked
a repertoire there. There's so many jokes that like just because you know people, you're comfortable saying things. Like
even what we talked about, like okay.
One of my managers, my old job, two jobs ago, like he was just talking about how like he had somebody like cut down like landscaping in his yard, like he was cutting down a tree, and like the guy was super ripped. So like my manager was just like, I can't believe like he had to like go get his wife and be like, you got to check this guy out.
That's awesome. I didn't see this.
But I can't believe I've never seen physique. Look at this physique.
Look at right where his stomach is. That's the indents right there next to his hips. Honey, you gotta see this. This fucking freak. He's Adonis.
Something like that. Like if you were trying to be PC, like you could never. I feel like I don't know. Is that?
So you're saying humor in general is anti-PC?
I think so.
For the most part, yeah. I mean, you mentioned the cool dad shirt is almost PC.
Most PC, like that's just like but that's not like funny. It's just
that's not also that funny. It was the least funny of all the things we showed. You're right. 100%. So would you say the funniest things you've ever heard are also the most un-PC things you've ever heard? I would say yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Except for stuff that's in the strange realm that's funny.
Stuff that doesn't like link back in layers to logic, or like stuff that's just like offensive. It's very hard to laugh at. Salad fingers, I don't know. There's nothing harmful about a cartoon though. So like cartoons that are like vile or something, like it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't trigger me on like a very like, oh, that's this disgusting level. Like any cartoon, I don't think like what's the most disgusting cartoon you can think of?
Was there like anime that does weird porno stuff? Like
weird that you know, I don't understand hentai. I don't get aroused by it. It cracks me up to see people making cartoons of stuff that makes like, Why is it that you would
I don't
choose
know, man.
cartoons over real
I've
porn?
seen clips that are like really weird, and I'm like, whoa.
If it was like Ren and Stimpy style porn,
then again,
like
see,
you
you're
zoom
right.
in way
No,
too
you're
far,
right.
and then it's like,
You're
oh,
absolutely
like right
'cause
when
Ren
you're about to
and Stimpy will, like,
climax,
show
it's just
their
like like all the pimples and like gross
eye
stuff.
gunk and eye gunk. They loved eye gunk. Ren and Stimpy were big on eye gunk.
Disgusting hentai that just like
Yeah.
every 10 seconds you get something that's just like, ugh. And then like, but you
Ugh.
were almost there, so you're gonna keep trying until like 10 seconds later.
I gotta
It's like,
keep going. I gotta keep going. Oh.
Oh god. It's like that's almost
Ren and
tantric.
Stimpy hentai, where it's just them, but then the girl, they zoom in on her eyes and she has eye gunk, or they zoom in on her like her cheeks and she has a couple hairs coming out of a couple pimples or something, and it's like, ah, damn it.
Yeah.
I agree. It's wild shit.
Whew.
Woo! Woo!
I don't know where we finish. I don't know how we finish.
I know how I finish. I have a large rooster. It's ironic because I actually am transitioning. I'm going to be a female in a year or two.
Oh, is that planned or unplanned? You're
Unplanned.
Your
Had an
significant
accident
other
at
decided
work. A little too much wire wrapped around something. Lost some circulation. Anyway, we're going to have to wrap it up. Just like I should have wrapped it up.
Yes.
So you want to wrap it
I
up?
think so. I think I had a good time here. You enjoyed yourself, right? The audience,
No.
right?
The audience. Hey, gang. You liked it? We literally talked about irony. Irony is always going to be the opposite. It's like irony is a thing that's already there. Satire. That's like a skit. We're doing a skit. It's like, this is satire. Sarcasm. It's verbal. It's like, what do you fucking think? I'm Italian. Hey. You know?
Gabugo.
Gabugo. We talked about ridiculousness. Paradoxy.
Paradoxical?
Paradoxical? No. What's plural paradox? Paradoxes.
Paradox.
Paradoxy? Google it. Farces, mockeries, ludacrisnesses. And I'm not talking about the show with what's his name. Humor, funny, puns. Yeah. Wait.
Yes.
How do you spell it? ES?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not exciting. We talked about, like, we broke down funny for what it was and why it's funny. Is it the opposite? That's why it's funny. Is it gross? That's why it's funny. Is it to the extreme? That's why it's funny. It's like you always have to push it in a direction for it to be funny. Is that correct? I don't know. Something ever funny just when it's face value? In the news today, local government deemed 65th Street would stay in the name 65th Street instead of changing names. Like, I guess there has to be, for a joke to happen, something has to move or change, correct? Right? I have an old religious teacher who believed Padre Pio was going to be a saint and could be in two places at once, and promoted this nonstop, and actually had the Pope of the Catholic Church write him a letter telling him to stop, or how he would not be allowed back in the Catholic religion. This is a religion teacher I had. He once said that funny or humor is where something is here, what you expect, what's going to happen is right here. When you deliver a punchline, or what actually happens here. The delta or change is funny.
But
and for a while I thought, yeah, go ahead.
His staunchness is funny though. Like him not changing in the face of obvious.
Go ahead. It reminded me of when I do you know when you laugh and you can't stop laughing?
Yeah.
I was in his class one time. This is a common story, and this would end it nicely because it sounds terrible.
Man.
Not.
This is terrible.
And I remember,
but it's fantastic.
It is terrible, but it's not. I was in a religion class in an all-boys Catholic Christian, and we were learning about religion and Judaism and the Holocaust.
Yeah.
And Martin G, who sat behind me, who will remain nameless, was kicking the back of my chair all class because he always just kicked my chair and went like, "Hey," and he would make funny noises, and I would laugh. He was doing it again, and I remember the teacher was like, "And do you know that 6 million Jews have died?" And he said it with like fervor.
Yeah, he's
and,
very
and I was getting
intense.
kicked. He was very intense. I was getting kicked in the back by a student who I always laughed at for every class. And I was trying not to laugh, and he called on me and he said, "What's so funny, Nick, that all these Jewish people were murdered?" And he raised his hands, and I was like, and I was trying not to laugh. And when you're holding in that laugh,
because of Martin behind you.
yeah, 100%. Oh, 100%. And he went, "Look at me, I'm a Nazi. Pew, I don't care. I'll kill anyone because I don't have feelings." And he went, pew, and he did this ridiculous gun thing where he was pretending to shoot
He's
a
very
Jewish
mechanical
person.
in his moments.
He was doing it.
Yeah.
He was, that's the way he moved. He looked like Dr. Robotnik.
Yeah.
He was doing fake shooting Jewish people as a Nazi, and I would already start laughing, and now I'm laughing so hard and holding it in that I'm almost cracking up laughing in class and banging on my desk. And he literally took his piece of chalk and went, "I don't care. I'm a Nazi. I'll kill anyone." And he did a fake shooting noise, and I lost it. And he threw his chalk against the board. And he said, "It's okay, Nick. It's not your fault. It's everyone's fault." And I never got in trouble that day for laughing. I did get a reputation for laughing at the Holocaust, which is ridiculous because I was not, but
you went right up to the border and just stepped right over it. You crushed it right through the wall.
I did. I got lucky because he did not reprimand me or send me to any principals or anything. But the thing to take away here is that I expected X and I got Y. I was getting kicked in the back of my chair by Martin, and the teacher caught me laughing at him and was acting like a Nazi. And looking back, pretty hilarious. This teacher.
Yeah. Can you read this passage? Yes.
I
Of course
have
I
to tell
can.
this though. I have to. We have a friend, a mutual friend, and he may have been in this class with the same teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And the teacher said, "Page 87, we're going to open up. Michael, can you read page 87, the first chapter?" And he said, yeah. That was it. Because he thought he was just asking if he could
read it.
Yeah,
I can read it.
Yeah, you're in high school, dude. Yeah. We know you can read it.
Yeah, I'm literate.
I love that class. But he had that saying where he said, "Humor is expectation this, reality this, and the farther the delta, the funnier the joke." And I thought that was the most ridiculous thing I ever heard, but looking back, maybe a little bit correct.
We didn't talk about, I think this is the only episode we can talk about it, like self-deprecation. Like there's an element of like, so for me it's always like family. Like family always takes up all your time. It rewards you. But like the idea that like people who don't have kids don't understand like the amount of literal shit that you go through. So like you can be self-deprecating about the best of things and like you spin it in such a way that like I can't wait for Christmas because then I can totally adore my family and just like stay away from them. Like stuff like that doesn't make sense to people because they don't, maybe not, they like they either love their kids so much or they like don't have kids. So like there's a splitting factor.
Are you talking about like the what you tell your coworkers type thing? That's like a coworker point.
Yeah, that's like
oh, I gotta spend time with my family.
Are you gonna take vacation? Jesus. It's like, well, my mother-in-law's coming in, so
yeah.
No, I'm not taking. I'm gonna be here all day. Like simple stuff like that. But it's self-deprecating because it's like focusing on a situation that you can't change, and like it's like I have a shitty life, but not really.
I have a shitty life where I have a shitty situation that might be a shitty situation for you as well. We all hate our mother-in-laws. That might have been the next joke after Polish blondes mother-in-laws, right?
Yeah, probably is,
Yeah.
Very typical.
Stereotypes. We're not getting into stereotypes. We're not getting into self-deprecating. We don't have enough time, Jim.
Oh,
I'm
damn
really.
it. That's okay. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you for sharing it.
Yeah. Well, there's like, you have to know the person. This is one of those things that like you have to know the person to be like.
I feel like
to buy into
mother-in-law
the
jokes
story.
are like in between knowing someone and not knowing them. It's like, my mother-in-law is coming over, and they're like, oh, I know that, and you're like, yeah, and you rib them, but like you don't really know each other that much. Like
That's
it's like
where we didn't talk about like how dry jokes are. Certain people deliver jokes
like
in such a serious way
jokes.
that they don't react.
So I said to my mother-in-law, I don't enjoy your company. Like someone giving
You
that
are the
joke and
opposite
doing
of
a
dry.
big laugh. Oh, was that not dry?
No,
Yeah,
you're
I
still
am
very
dry.
like. I guess it's hard to do dry on a podcast because you have to be like very
A
dynamic
character.
in the way you say
How
things.
about this? Yeah, my mother-in-law came over. We ate pretty well. She was delicious. And then like someone's like, "What?" And it's like, "You ate your mother-in-law?" That's the only mother-in-law dry joke I could deliver. I didn't mean
I
it.
suppose that's,
I would never
that's
eat my mother-in-law.
reverberations.
It was a bit dry.
Yeah. Oh.
Could use more gravy. I don't know.
I think that's as far as we go.
It has to be, because otherwise I'll talk about British humor, which is dry as hell. I love British humor. I'm not getting into all this.
Oh,
The movie Snatch.
I was thinking about Peep Show.
Oh, Peep Show is very good. How have you seen all of Peep Show?
I have, but this was like 10 years ago. Peep Show is
It's literally one of the
series.
funniest
Yeah.
shows I've ever seen. Do you know? I figured it out for the audience. Anyone who's ever seen Peep Show, it's literally very easy. Mark is the super ego. Jeremy is the ego, and Super Hans is the id. Yeah, and that's literally, if you think of it that way, it breaks down to very easy.
And they're all experiencing somewhat of the same thing. Like they
Yeah, they're
experience
all
it
the
through
same
the
life.
same character, or like they
Yeah, it's
experience
almost
it through the
same
other characters.
Just yeah, exactly. Like the super ego is the funniest. He's like, I want to say no, and just his voice is like,
I'm not
yes.
sure about yes.
Yes, I will do that. Whereas like Jeremy's
I
like
don't want to do this.
you know
I
what I
don't
mean?
want to do it.
Yeah, exactly. You can hear his voice in his head. Oh, that's such a good show. That's comedy gold.
I'm not a pedo. I'm not a pedo.
You're not the pedo.
You're not a pedo.
Hey, look, there's a
pedo.
pedo.
I'm not.
I caught him looking at my trousers. Or whatever. I don't even know. The funniest bit they have in that whole thing is where Mark is banging someone's wife. Mark, of all people. And like he's in the closet. She goes, hurry up, get in here. My husband will find you. And he goes in the closet and he's hard as hell because he was just having sex with this guy's wife. And he opens the closet and says, are you cheating on me? And he finds Mark and he goes, hey, what's he doing? And then he says like, I was just watching your wife beating off. And instead of being mad, he's like, Mark couldn't get anything from anyone. He's beating off to my wife. Like he's going off on that, and that's his bit. And I'm like, and instead of getting beat up or punched or anything, he's getting laughed at for being a sad, pathetic man who beats off to someone's wife while hiding in the closet.
His face is so sad and pathetic to begin with. That is.
But what's he gonna say? He's literally, instead of getting beat up, he has to just go with it. Yes, I do enjoy watching people from a closet. It's like, Mark, stand up for yourself, but don't. You're gonna get beat up. That's good. That's comedy gold right there.
That's a good finish.
That's a good finish. All right. So, what do we talk about?
Sarcasm. Satire.
Sarcasm.
Irony.
Satiricalism.
Sardonic Wit.
Ironicism.
Dark humor.
Sardonicism. Darknessism with wit. Ridiculousness. Paradoxes.
Catch-22.
Catch-22. We talk about farces. Mockeries. Shammockeries. Travis mockeries. Ludachristmas. We talked about puns. We talked about everyone who talks in puns. Like, that's too much. If every tweet you make is a pun, stop.
Yeah, you're overworking yourself. You gotta pace it.
It's a disorder, I believe. Literally. Funny, humor, that's all subjective. So is all of this, baby. So if you want to tell your boss you can't wait to die, go for it. Be funny. Be you. Be true. But also be not true. It's kind of fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah. Good night.
Have a good one, folks. Donate to our Patreon. Don't.
You're not a pedo.